Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This week, Andrew and I are been kicking around gratitude, and particularly when it's hard to be grateful. And I arrived here at Andrew's place today, not feeling grateful, and I've been reflecting, and we've been talking about that for a while here before this session now. And one of the things that's come up for me, well, one of the things that I was reflecting on was I had a major trauma, and I think I might have mentioned this already in previous sessions, but I had a major trauma 19 months ago in my life. And one of the surprising things in the last 19 months is that gratitude has become one of my top values, which, as it turns out, that it's actually not uncommon, but it seemed unusual for me that I could be grateful after having lost something so huge in my life. And that's, I guess, has been an anchor for me in these times, and particularly when you don't feel grateful, there's something happening right in the moment that you're present with. But at the same time, when you can take a breath and think about all the things around you and the things that you are grateful for and reflect, that's when it really, really comes to the fore.
So can you express for you what it's like to be in that liminal state when your mind knows you should be grateful, but you can't be because your head's also full of all this shit that isn't working for you? Can you kind of articulate what that's like for you?
Yeah. You asked me that just a little bit earlier, and you asked me, can I feel it in my body?
Yeah.
And I hadn't even thought about that because I was still in my mind, in my head, so much.
Like most of the time.
And when I did focus on it, I could feel in the top of my chest. And I've had other emotions, as you know, further down in my body, but this one was high up in my chest and not particularly strong. It was just like a light pressure. But I hadn't given it any thought before you talked about it because I was so worried, and so not worried, but so in my head around what I'm doing and how I'm feeling and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So I think that's in this podcast, we'll talk about this space of gratitude and the shadow to it, which is that there's a shadow to gratitude, which is this thing of we all know we should be grateful and what it's like when you can't.
Yeah.
And I think from learning through the shadow, we can kind of explore then what gratitude really is.
Yeah.
And then talk about what that might mean for the people listening and how they bring it into their own life.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one of the books that I'm constantly going back to, it talks about the shadow and says that an unhealthy relationship with gratitude indicates that you may lose sight of blessings in life and the contributions of others. And that's a good place to start because it's very easy to do. It's much easier to do that than to sit with it.
One of the areas where I'm finding I'm confused right now between not confused, where I'm finding it difficult to be grateful is from a work perspective. Yeah. So I don't have momentum at the moment. I'm sending out emails and people aren't replying to them. And that can make you feel small pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
Absolutely. Yep.
And like insignificant in the world. And that feeling of being small is, I reckon, almost the antidote to being grateful. Like it's this constricting of yourself. And I think, again, if you think about that question I asked you, there is for me always a place within my body, not within my mind, where I'm feeling something that I haven't given proper love and attention to. If you think about our previous episode where we talked a little bit about, we talked about loneliness, right? But that sense of giving yourself appreciation. I think sometimes our inability to feel grateful is a part of us that we haven't sort of delved into, and the access point to that sometimes can be the body, which will release an emotion that will allow us to move through whatever we're moving through.
Yeah. So how do you do that?
So for me, it's a kinesthetic process. So you got to be still and quiet enough to be able to feel where you feel it. And what I mean by still and quiet in the mind. So the breath, you mentioned the breath. So I would probably say there's probably 2 or 3 ways. The first one is to put your attention into your breath and your body. And by doing that, you then put the attention is no longer in your mind and your mind stuff, all the things that are going. And more specifically, what I would do with my breath is every time I take an in-breath, I'm bringing in energy, positive energy from the outside, higher energy from the earth. And then every time I take an out-breath, I'm stepping into that no mind space.
Yeah.
And if you do that over a period of time, like over 5 or 10 minutes, what you're aiming to do is just to be present in being, not be in mind.
Yeah.
And this is essentially a meditation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting yourself in a meditative state.
Yeah. And we've had this conversation previously when I was in that space, and there's 2 parts to being still and being looking at your emotions and and attending to your feelings rather than being in your head. The other way that it helps me from time to time is to move. So I do a lot of walking. And in one of our conversations previously, Andrew and I talked about breath work, well, we talked about meditation, and I was saying that my brain was too busy. And then we talked about breath work, and I used that in when I was doing my walking.
And I think it can be walking, it can be dancing, it can be running, it can be something that allows whatever it is that you're stuck on to move through your body.
Yeah.
Now, what's the link between that and gratitude? It's that thing that's often the thing that's stopping you see the world in a way, see the things in your world that you can be truly grateful for in your heart.
Yeah.
Because you're stuck on this little bit of energy that's this negative thing.
Yeah.
So the release of that and the acceptance of that, sending love to that, processing that with your body, with your breath, puts you in a space where you can actually be grateful for this experience that you're having, with all its challenges and all its amazing things.
Yeah.
And then that's for me what true gratitude is. It's not gratitude for the Christmas present you got, or the things that you get, the physical things you get.
That's right.
It's absolute acceptance of your experience, and to be grateful for all the bits that are in that, which are always a combination of the human condition, right? The stuff that's good and the stuff that we're working on, the things we're learning.
Yeah.
Does that connect with you?
Yeah, and while you were talking about that, and I was when I was talking about the walking component, and you talked about sitting with it. One of the things that I do, and I'm fortunate enough to live in Manly, so right near the beach. It's been my savior in a lot of ways, particularly for the walking and being able to get out. But at the same time, there's a bench at the right near where I live, near the right on the beach, and that's my spot to sit a lot of the time and reflect and work through that list of being grateful for things. And you're right, it's not about I'm grateful for that present I got last week or whatever. It's about the bigger things in life. It's for me, it's the ability to be able to do that for a start. That's a luxury. And it's something I've worked hard for, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the environment that I live in. I'm grateful for my family, for the life that I had with my wife. I'm grateful for the life I still have and the life that we built up that I'm continuing with. So it just gives me the time, and well, I make the time. It doesn't give me the time. I
No.
make the time to do that, and I do that on a regular basis.
I think that's beautiful that you have a space
Mm.
for it, because it then becomes a practice that puts you into that space on a regular basis that you may not do otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing I would say about that is there are many apps, gratitude apps. I've downloaded them. And usually what they do is, right, they get you to put 3 things in you're grateful for each day, morning
Yep.
and night. That might work for you.
Yeah. The journals, people write.
Journals, that's right.
Yeah.
But often as well, you got to come back to the principles, which is that the principle is do you have an ongoing process that enables you to get into that grateful space?
Yeah.
And then once you're in that grateful space, are you grateful for all the aspects of your life and accepting of all those great aspects of your life?
Yeah.
And however you capture those in an app, in a journal, at the side of the
if
beach,
you
on a chair,
capture it, or you just to be present with it,
it's fine.
Yeah.
There's no like rule. Like,
Absolutely.
I think there's like all the guru entrepreneur people want you to do gratitude in a certain way. It's just an essence of being here.
Yeah. And while you were talking there, you just reminded me too, and I can feel this already. For me, talking with someone else works brilliantly. And I'm very grateful that I have people like yourself and lots of other friends and colleagues that I can have these deeper conversations with. So that's again, it's really something to be grateful for.
I agree completely. So what we'd love, I think that kind of covers it. What we would love to hear from you is what part of this conversation resonates with you. What are the things in your life that you may need to release that enabled a gratitude practice to come in? Because there is this thing that, there is a challenge to gratitude. There is sometimes when it's hard to be grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what are those things that you can release? And then once you release them, can gratitude become a space for you where you are grateful for all of life, all of your experience, and everything that entails? And we'd love to hear your experiences of that and through the comments and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for listening. And next time we will catch you again soon.
All right. Take care.